Hello everyone, I'm Lee, this is Combe Valley Campers, and today we are going to be slamming the suspension on Project Lockdown. So as a little bit of backstory, we got this van a little while ago, just before the COVID lockdown happened actually. Was it about lockdown? I can't quite remember. Anyway, it was right at the early part of lockdown, and we decided to film this one at my house, and we did sort of the paint cleanup, the interior cleanup with my kids on my drive. Now lockdown's more over, you know, we've got Ali down here, cheers dude, and we've got other people who we can work with, and now's the time that we can actually slam the suspension on this thing. Today we're going to be working with Chris Bulmer down at Mr. B's Body Shop in Bexhill, who is pretty much our local resident expert on all things T4. He knows these inside out. He's raised the suspension on these, he's lowered the suspension on these, so he's pretty damn knowledgeable when it comes to the suspension, so that's where we're going. But the parts we're using today we're getting from the likes of VW Monkeys. You can find them in a link down in the description, and also Scarface Lowriders, who you can see on my hat. They've sent us some really cool chassis plates to be able to get us just that little bit more suspension lowering. And this thing, by the end of the day, we should have no arch gap at all. At the moment we've got, you know, one fist and maybe a couple of fingers in there. You don't want one fist and a finger gap, that's for sure. Yeah, and the same up here. We certainly want to, by the end of the day, have absolutely no clearance there at all. It sounds stupid, but that's exactly what we want. We want this thing absolutely slammed. And is it impractical? Yeah, of course it is. But it looks really cool, and that's kind of why we're doing it on this one. In the meantime, I've actually been cleaning up these wheels. I bought these wheels used, second-hand. They were really nasty, actually. All the rims on them, the lacquer had loads of water ingress and had since all sort of corroded. So I've cut them right back with some sandpaper, and then I've used a polishing kit just to get all those rims nice. And then we've since had them new valves in it and fitted and balanced by the guys at Tyres in Bexhill. Again, I'll be putting a link down in the description. So we're keeping it local. We're using all the local boys and girls to help us with this van. But what I'm going to do, we're going to do a couple of little rolling shots now, show a bit of a comparison with the before height and the after height, and then we'll get straight over to Chris's at Mr. B's Body Shop. So we're here now at Mr. B's Body Shop in Bexhill, and we're joined by Chris. Thanks very much for sort of having us down here today. And the reason we have come to you is because, well, you've got how many T4 transporters at the moment? Five, just personally. Yeah. And you work on these day in, day out. You can see one just here, there's one outside, mine's in, and there's a queue of people wanting Chris's work done. And Chris in particular has got a lifted T4, which means that the suspension's had modifications to raise it higher than standard, and he's also got a very low T4. So how much lower is it?
About 100 mil lower. About
100 mil lower, yeah. 10 centimeters lower. And well, it's why we've brought this today. I'm sure we could have done it in our workshop, but I wanted you guys to have all the knowledge and basically have me walked and talked through it as well by the likes of Chris, because he's done this before and he's done it on his car. We've got the gear over there, we'll walk and talk through that later. But Chris, what's going to be the start with this one today? You spoke, first of all, maybe starting with, well, first of all, these are quite easy to lower, is that right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So the first thing, at the front in particular, we've got one torsion bar, right? Go through that with us.
Well, there's a pair of torsion bars at the front. Depending on what colour torsion bars you have, is what thickness they are.
Yeah.
But the main idea is just to undo the nuts, drop it down. But because of the how low we're going to go, we're going to clock the torsion bars on your one to give us more thread to make it more possible.
So if people are watching this, they might be familiar more with the air-cooled suspension. You would actually remove a rear trailing arm, clock it, so to speak, and put it back on the torsion bar. That's kind of what we're doing here today then. So we're not only going to be lowering it on the nut to bring the ride height down, we're going to be clocking that torsion bar as well to even give us even more lows. So this is, and we've measured the height of this already. So from floor, we've got it on the board over there, from floor to the lip of the wheel arch, it's currently at 71 centimetres. And from the centre of the wheel to the top of the wheel arch, it's 41.5, that's at the front. And on the back, we are 74.5 and 43.5 centimetres respectively as well. So that'll be a really cool comparison, as well as taking the photos before and after as well. So first things first, then we're going to jack the front of the car up, right? And then what we're going to do?
High as we can. Drop the torsion bars out. And clock them and get them back in. That's going to be a mission in itself. Okay, that's so the first bit.
Nice one. I'm ready to get my hands dirty as usual. But then, as you've seen by my hat, we're going to be working with Scarface Lowriders today, and we've got what's called Shane's plates. And what are they going to do to the suspension or the chassis?
They get rid of the old damper mount and basically enable us to get the shock sitting up a little bit higher, so that we can get a little bit more travel out of the shock, so that you're not knocking the end of the shocks when you're running low. Okay, and it might give us that bit more low as well. So you get more travel so that you're not bottoming out. Cool. And obviously when you make drastic suspension changes like this, even it's the drop links as well between the torsion bars, we're having to reduce the height of those. And again, from the guys at Scarface Lowriders, we've actually got some shortened drop links too, so we're going to be fitting those as well. The actual suspension and springs, they're coming from the guys at VW Monkeys, these guys. We've got springs from Faulkner. They are, well, they're called on the website 5-inch springs. That's not the drop, that's actually the height. They're only 5 inches, and we'll show you the comparison when the ones come out the back. And we've got some extra short adjustable Gaz shocks as well, right? So we've got shocks, we've got springs, and we've also got some of the spring, what am I calling them? Shims. The shims. So on an original suspension setup, you've got big fat rubber shims that the springs sit on the trailing arms and the suspension. We're going to be replacing those, and we've got these nice Powerflex shims, haven't we? So we'll reduce rubbing, and we can actually adjust the height using those shims as well. So yeah, plates, drop links, springs, shocks, and actually some retaining straps. Are we going to be using those today? Okay, so retaining straps on suspension are more used in the sort of off-road world, aren't they? So if you get a huge articulation, say on your axle, you will have a retaining strap on your suspension which will stop your spring falling out. Because these springs are so short, we're having retaining straps between the chassis and the actual trailing arm, so they don't fall out as well. We've heard of people running without them, right? But in this case, we're going to be putting them on anyway, because we've got the kit. We want to show everybody at home how to do it. But you've seen the rolling shots already. This is riding high like a roller skate on the new 17-inch wheels that we've put on. We're going to get this low on the ground. And why would somebody do this in the first place? Because it looks cool.
Because it looks cool, right? Yes, you do get improved road handling as well. But at the end of the day, being low is pretty damn cool. I always wanted this to be pretty low, and let's get it done. All right, let's do it. Cheers. The tools that you are going to need today: a drill with a selection of drill bits, a grinder with a flap disc, a bar for undoing stubborn bolts, some CV lithium grease, some paint and or primer to make sure that all the holes you drill are now covered and painted, extension bars, pliers, ratchets, knife, Mapex gas or something to heat up your, what are they called now? Your torsion bars. You need to, when you clock your torsion bars, you're going to need the gas. We're going to need a torch. We've got a reciprocating saw, another drill with a step drill bit, riv nut pliers, a selection of spanners, pens for marking, hammers, ratchets, pick tools, screwdrivers, cable ties, hammers, bars, definitely a wire brush, definitely some penetrants, definitely a selection of sockets. PPE is a must. A rattle gun is very, very handy. And last but not least is the bench grinder with a wire brush attachment. So vehicle's up, ready, it's on jack stands, wheels are off. First thing then, I've been told to do is take the nuts off the bottom of the torsion arms, and for that you're going to need, well, a 27mm socket. Chris has modified one here, so it's super deep, so it'll go all the way up through the thread. Get it on his gun, there you go. We're just going to whip that straight off now, all the way, and that's for both sides. There you go, first one off. Now for the other side. So after 17 years of road grime and everything else, they can get a bit gummed up. If yours are particularly rusty, get on it with a wire wheel or a wire wheel attachment on your drill. These are actually pretty good, but we do find, or we will find, that we're just going to need a little bit of spray lube there. Give them a little bit of help. You don't want to wind your nuts out dry after all. So unwinding that out then, it was obviously a little too tough, and using that gun as well, there's loads of torque in that gun, and what we've actually done is pulled out the top of that bolt. Bit of a problem, but once those torsion bars are out, we can remove that. As I've been told by Chris, he says it's easy to do it once that arm's out, so let's get on doing that.
So yeah, basically we're going to take that one out.
Yeah.
And that one there. That allows us to get the shock and everything out of the way. That'll also give us access to get Shane's plates up in there. To get access on all these bars, we need to drop the subframe out of the way. So that we can get to all this lot here.
Cool.
Right.
Load to work then. Let's get on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Across, or we just hanging it?
No, it just hangs off the engine off the top of it.
Oh, okay, cool, fine.
So literally, we'll undo the subframe. Just got to have a jack underneath, just in case.
Yeah, yeah.
Should be fine.
Show me where.
It's the three large ones. So you've got one there. Shell Dooble's 21. And then two there.
Yeah.
And then we can obviously drop the whole lot.
Cool.
Got to get the fuel tank out of the way as well.
Yeah.
So that's got to come down, chop it up. Probably put a jack underneath it, so we can get this knuckle above it. Okay. Because otherwise you ain't ever going to. And
then what? We're removing that.
Yeah.
And then we're taking the
spine off the end.
Yeah. And then what? You're clocking it one, two.
Normally two. And then put it back on.
Cool. So the actual swapping the shocks and everything round itself is
fairly simple.
Fairly simple. It's just this bit that's the difficult pain in the arse bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're trying to move something that hasn't been moved since it came out of the factory.
Yeah, 17-year-old nuts and bolts, right. Well, we're used to dealing with rusty Volkswagen, so...
Yeah, love it.
It's no problem to us, right? Cool, okay, so 21, 219s, jobs are good. Okay. So we've had 121, that was just behind, well, that's the front engine subframe bolt. We've had the 219s, they're out the rear subframe bolt, and we've had it, or subframe mount. And we've done the same the other side. So the subframe's loose now. It's being supported by a 3-ton trolley jack.
Yeah.
What's the next bit?
Get the fuel tank low enough so that we can get the knuckle of the torsion bar out.
Yeah.
So literally we just need to drop it sort of that far from the cab floor.
Yeah.
And
so we're having to mess around a little bit.
No, it should be alright.
No,
just literally take straps off, support it, drop it.
And they're what, 17s or 13s? Can't remember now.
30.
Yeah, so cool. That's a fairly simple job. We do that sort of thing all the time anyway, because when we're doing diesel heater conversions and stuff like that, you've got to pull the tank, because that's where you're putting your diesel heater feed in. So, okay, let's get straight on that. Yeah. Going well.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Just 2 straps, mate,
Gotcha.
and 1 there.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me when.
Yeah.
Definitely nothing I need to pull out here.
No.
It should just flop out of that rubber, right?
It won't. It'll pivot down on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Tell me when.
Yeah, you don't have to go all the way, just... Especially at the moment. That'll do for now.
Yeah?
Yeah. Also, we've got to get them loose anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So next one, we've got to get subframe down so we can get onto the top of them bolts and that.
Yeah.
So do that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Go, Chris, all yours.
I think that went, didn't it? Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah?
Right, so that's one side.
So that's it, it's only the one you got to release then,
No,
is it?
there's
the other
one
you
from
can
this
get
side.
from here. Yeah,
Oh.
but you can get it from here, so it's no
Yeah.
big deal. Okay, cool.
Bit more? Yeah. Yes, please.
Nice job, man. Yeah, can release?
Yes, yeah.
Nice one. So this is the near side torsion bar, just been removed, and obviously this is the problem we had right at the beginning. Although we advised to clean it up, we didn't. We just thought we could get away with spraying it. Anyway, what it did do is pull out this knuckle here from inside the chassis. What we're going to do is clean it up on the wire wheel, then we'll lube it up a bit more, wind it backwards and forwards until it actually withdraw that nut all the way, and then we can put this piece back in the chassis. I've wound that in first, so we can then clear those threads, and then we can wind it all the way back out again. Boom. Good. As a quick recap then, we have jacked up the wagon, we've put it on big axle stands, we have braced the engine, removed the front wheels, removed the front shocks, removed the shock plates, removed the bolt that holds it all together, and this drop link as well. We've then removed the 6 bolts from the subframe. We've let that drop under support, so the engine and subframe and everything is just hanging off the engine mounts at the minute, but it is supported. We've dropped the tank a little bit, and the biggest effort really was removing those torsion arms and the torsion arm bolts and things like that. So the next stage is, after a quick cup of tea or coffee, is going to be what's called clocking those torsion bars, and that means removing the ends of the arms, turning them around a couple of splines on the torsion arms, popping them back on, and then we can get more lows, better ride. Let's get on it. Before we go any further with clocking the torsion bars, just wanted to have a quick chat about the 3 that we've got here. They come in different weights and different strengths depending on the van that the weight that the van was rated at from the factory. So today we're going to show you a green, a brown and a pink torsion bar. There are more colours available. White is the lowest, grey is the highest. There may even be 1 or 2 others in there, but a green paint mark will denote an 800 kilo weight van. Brown is for 1,000 kilo, and pink, which is from my van, is 1,200 kilo as well. When you're lowering these, or you want to make a van that may have like a performance upgrade, or you just want a stiffer handling vehicle, pink or even grey are the ones to go for. Pink are available, fairly well available. Grey are a bit elusive, as Chris said earlier. So if you are doing this level of modification, buy the pinks if you can. We're just fortunate that the van came with pinks anyway. And again, we reckon it's because this vehicle was used for a farrier's van, so it needed the weight of the furnace and everything else in the back of the van when it was originally purchased. back in the day. So yeah, there we go. In terms of thickness, this green one, that is 25.7 millimeters. The brown, yeah, 25.7. The brown, 26.7. And then the pink is 28.4. So between these two, there's actually a 2.5–3 millimeter difference, which when it comes to handling or weight bearing, it does actually make all the difference. So let's get on with this. We're going to have to heat up the ends. We'll mark where the ends of the torsion bars are first, then we heat them up, knock them off, clock them and cut the splines, bang them back on again. So we know which orientation to put our clocked torsion bar end on. We're just going to denote where it started first with just a black permanent marker. We're going to do it on the blue just so it's easier to see, and you can use any method you want, and then hopefully that stays on there enough.
Fine.
And then we know the two splines, or we know how far we're bringing it round. Next job, heat it up, bang the torsion bars out of the arms. Keep going. Boom. With Chris's assistance then, we've got this on the floor and we've clocked, we've had a look right down the centre there, and if you have a look you can see that this mark here and that mark down there are lined up. We're then going to lift it over one spline. In fact, did that go two then? Let's have a double check. There's, yeah, so that was one, two. So there's two splines there. Simple as that. Now you can see those two marks. It's clocked over two splines. Perfect.
That's hot, that one.
Right, so that's the knuckle that popped out. The moment we took some tension off the torsion bar, this lifted up and fell out of its fell out of its carrier. And it's pretty simple because of that little nipple there and that chamfered edge. It'll only go in one way, so it's a case of lifting it up, turning it 90 degrees, and it sits on some carriers in there. So very simply, put that in. He says, look. There you go. It's in there. So they're both cleaned up to a point. I might even just whip that one out, put it on the wire wheel real quick, clean the thread up, and then that'll help us put it all back together again. Really happy with how those torsion bars have gone in. We've got them torqued up, they're bolted in, all good. Next job, bolt up subframe, and then we can start putting in shocks. So let's get everything all done, and then we'll bring you back when it comes to showing you how the shocks are all set up and stuff. Let's go. So before we go any further, Chris has recommended we change the anti-roll bar bushings, because whilst it's all apart, it's an ideal time to do it. Just inside there, it is a 16mm bolt that we're having to undo, and it's a bit awkward, so you've got to find the right spanner. But once they're out, it's a case of pulling the old bushing out, putting this one over the anti-roll bar, popping it in the right orientation, and bolting the clamp back down again. Easy as that. All yours, man.
Thanks.
The anti-roll bar bush is done. Now we've got to remove the drop link to fit in our new Shane's drop link. These are a bit of a pain to get off. Let's see how well I'm going to do at this. It's got no chance.
Nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Not budging?
It's gonna go. I'm trying to think of an easier way to get that off, but I don't think there is.
7 hours later.
What have you done to it to make it do it like that, eh?
Well, all I've done is loosen it up for you, Chris, so if you get it off now. We're going to set fire to it, we're going to drill it out. Nice one. Whew. Nah, she's not new. She was just tight. Mate. Oh, that was easy. So, orientation, not really a big deal. Chris has already lubed it up with a bit of CV grease. Just put a little bit there as well. And just slip right on, right?
Yeah.
She's on. Good. Okay, both on. So now, on the front, last bit of real modification. We've got to grind out some of the metalwork up in here. We can get you to get a shot in a second now. There's a big ring there that you feed your shock up into, and what we've got to do, there's an inner ring as well. We've got to grind that out so the Shane's plates can fit lower in there. Drill a hole through this chassis member, gets bolted up, another bolt there, job done. Then we can get the front end back on the floor, work on the back. Die grinding bit on the end of your air tool. We're just going to go up in there now, remove all the metal, and we'll keep trying our Shane's plate to make sure it fits. I like that. We are replacing this bit here with the shock on, with the new Shane's plates and a new gas shock. To do that, we've now got, instead of this one mounting point here and one here, we've got a mounting point up the top that goes through the chassis, and one mounting point at the front, and right at the back here, that's where our bump stop goes. The bump stop have already popped out, and because we're a lot lower, we've got to trim it down, and we'll get on with that in a minute. But first of all, we're going to offer up the other side, then we can mark where we're going to drill our hole, and get that drilled out. Chopping down the bump stops. Serrated knife, if you can find one. Chris does a lot of window fitting and removing windows, and he says the serrated knife's the way forward. And soapy water. Get a bit of soapy water on the bump stop, a bit of soapy water on the blade. I've left the bump stop in that mount. I'm going to come round, and basically at this moment I'm going to be cutting it level with sort of the ridges there. So I'm not touching the ridge, I don't want to blunten the blade, but if I can that's the thing of beauty right there. I like that, Chris. That's really good. Cool. Okay, so that's one down. Let's go and get the other one. Right. Put that the right way round, that'll help. That's the first one through. Coming to the end of doing the front, we've got shame plates on, we've modified the chassis rail to put the bolts through, modified the bump stop, new shocks are in place and tightened up, new bushes. Last thing we've got to do is put the bolt all the way through, the new drop link, the bottom of the arm, into the shock, nuts on. Then we put the nuts on the bottom of the torsion bars. Then we can lower it down, is that right?
Put some wheels on.
Put some wheels on first. That's a good idea. Right, let's smash it. We're going to get the jack out. Is that
No,
no?
answer your question, doesn't it?
No, you're not.
There's a red one.
Should be low, mate. Right, you want it out?
Yeah. This one won't come out now. You'll have to use the other one to get the other side out.
Holy moly. So, front's down. It's pretty low. Looks amazing. But yeah, front's down. Gonna do the back. We still got to have a play with levels. You know, it's going to be the fine adjusting. But yeah, we went from, what did we say? A fist and a finger. Yeah, she tight now. Front's done, needs some adjusting, but now we've got the back, a lot simpler. Shock out, top bolt, bottom bolt. We're going to let the arm drop, that way the arm, the spring can come out. We're going to pop in our shims, pop the new spring in, shock in, and then we're going to put our limit straps in, and we're going to be using the riv nut for that, aren't we? We've got to pop on the back. There's a hole in that leg that we can put a riv nut in. That will bolt the strap to there, and then we're going to drill a hole into this piece of chassis leg up here, put the retaining strap up there, tighten it up, job done. Simple as, right? Simple. Day so far. We've spent 4, 5, 6 hours on the front, something like that. We've just spent an hour and a bit just messing around with the rear suspension on the driver's side. This is the last one to do. Wheel off, shocks off, spring out, make the mods that are necessary, bolt it all back together, go cruising. Let's get on with it. getting to the end of a very long, very hot day, but we're nearly there. Last bits we've got to do, shocks out, springs out, going to clean the whole area up with a wire brush. We've got to cut this bump stop down. We're actually deleting the bump stop pretty much altogether. It's going to have no need for it. Just because it's going to be that low. So we're going to get our reciprocating saw, wherever it's gone, here. We'll cut it down with the reciprocating saw to begin with. Tidy it up with a flap wheel. And yeah, smash on with the rest of it. We are taking 5 centimeters off that bump stop. Just going to chop that straight off and then tidy it up with the grinder. So, find my glasses. Let's get on it. Going to pop the shock in first. First of all, I'm going to give it a test to see if it will fit in there, and it does. If it doesn't fit into that part there, you can wind your shock bolt in to there. Make sure it's in 3/4 threads. Give it a knock. That'll actually spread those two parts a little bit apart for you, and then that'll be fine. So that's in there. Going to spin that shock round. Now in terms of the adjustment on this, we're doing it all the way up, so it won't go any further. And then, so that's as far as it will go that way. Then back off. That's the first click, and then back off one more. So all the way so it won't go tight, and then 1 click, 2 clicks. Shim up the top. Spring in. Now I'm going to jack it up. Right, we've changed the shock, changed the spring. Last thing to put on is this retaining strap. Now this is because that spring is pretty small, and if that was to extend down too far, the spring would just kind of fall out, and we don't want that. So we're going to be drilling a hole up here. That buckle is going to attach in there, and then we're going to be putting this double buckle system under there. And once you're happy with the length of the strap, you tighten this down, and then it means the strap won't move. It'll lock it in its position. But the first thing to do is to get your riv nut in place. We're going to be using riv nuts to pop in this hole here on that trailing arm, and works like a rivet. Basically, this tool that I'm holding here will expand this end of this nut inside that piece of metal there, so you now have a threaded hole to attach something to. So I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to wind it all the way down, that might help. There you go. I'm going to get into position. There we go. I'll wind it in a little bit. Put it again. Oh. Give it another go. There we go. Try once more. There we are. So we now have a threaded hole within our trailing arm, so we can bolt our M8, M6, M6 bolt in. The next thing to do, we're probably going to lower this back down again actually. We'll lower this back down so we've got the access onto that plate, so we can drill our hole, put our bolt through. We might even nip the end of that exhaust bracket off as well, just so we don't want it interfering with our retaining strap. Okay, it's been a super long day. It is now, we started this at just gone 9, it is now 6:30, and we've had quite a few people on it, but it's on the ground. Check it out, this thing is absolutely slammed now. We still have, well, the back is pretty much set. We've got just about enough clearance there to clear these large, what size are the tyres? They're 225 50 17s, and this is a 17-inch wheel. They're just clearing there on the 5-inch Faulkner Springs and going towards the front. Obviously, there is no room there whatsoever. We are just going to give it a quick roll forward, roll back, let the suspension settle. We're going to raise the front up so both sides are level, and then we'll go for a cruise. And there we have it, slammed, absolutely chuffed. We've now, well, we measured it. We've actually got a 100mm drop front and rear, a full 10 centimeters, and there's literally no fists and fingers are fitting in there anymore. There's nothing. But, oh look, I'm peeling the paint off, it's that low. It's exactly the look I wanted. It rides really well. I've just driven down here and it just makes the van look better, makes the wheels look better. And really, well, I think we've just upped the style points a little bit. What do you reckon? I've got to say thanks to Chris and Steph over there who are hiding in the... They have been brilliant today. They've sorted us all out with tools. They've sorted us out with the garage. Chris and his knowledge as well. So thank you very much to them. Also, thank you very much to Shane at Scarface Lowriders, Aaron down at Dub Monkeys. Yes, sorry, Aaron. It's been a long day. So yeah, we've done, what, how many hours on that? Well, it's now 7 o'clock and we've done so much work on it, but doing filming as well obviously takes it longer. Really hope you like it. This may well be the end of this, and we'll tell you why in another video, but we're fairly happy with the stance. I don't think I'm going to need to change any tyres. Yeah, really happy. We'll finish this with a nice little outro of me, Chris and Steph cruising in the vans. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click like in the bottom as well. We are on Patreon. Go and take a look at Patreon. And if you like any of our merch, we've got new merch coming out. Then go and get that as well. Support us as a channel. Support us as a company. Don't forget, head over to Dub Monkeys. Head over to Scarface Lowriders. Links will be in the description. Cheers very much.